All right, we're joined now by General Manager Brett Veach. And Brett, it's the whole purpose of your job. You love team building, from Patrick Mahomes all the way to the 53rd man on the roster and the practice squad. You love this stuff. So how much fun are you having this time of year evaluating all these players?
Well, it's exciting. It's more exciting because we haven't been here in 2 years. So you really get, you get excited to come here, and we certainly miss this place and miss the people that help make this happen. But I think anytime you get to see these guys in person is a big deal. We've spent months and months and months watching these guys on tape, but now to see them in person and to hear their story is a big part of the equation, and we're excited for this process to start.
Yeah, with that in mind, what is the value of this event for you and your staff? When you guys leave next week, what will be seen as a successful combine for you guys?
Well, you always get those first impressions, right? So again, I think the value is getting to meet a prospect, getting to meet a player, learning more about them, where their priorities are, what they value, what their family was like growing up, their experiences in college. And it's fascinating every year where, on one end you think, how much can you really get from a 20-minute interview on a player? But every year there are a certain amount of players that will leave very good impressions on us and force us to ask more questions and do more work. And but again, this is a big first step, and as much as we love the numbers and love to see these guys work out, again, it's more important to get a feel for these players and who they are and what makes them tick.
Now, looking at the first round, the good news is we're picking at 30. We've picked in the 30s several years in a row now, and that's showing the team's success. But it's also difficult because it's hard to project how the first round will go. What's the challenge like for your staff figuring out what players may be there at pick number 30?
Yeah, it's always a challenge, and I laugh when you bring that up because I feel like every year, wherever we're picking, every team has equations of how many players they need in every round to get a player they want. And I joke every year when we do that number equation, we're always like 3 spots off. So, you never have the numbers shake out exactly the way you like, but you have to be prepared. You have to allocate, the talent as best you can, and then just be able to move in any direction. But it's always a fun process. But you really can't get to that final stage until you get through things like the combine, get to meet the players, get all the medical information from Rick Burkholder and his staff, and it's the first step, but it's certainly an exciting first step.
We always talk about the first round, but really the latter portion of the draft, finding gems in that time of the draft is what makes a good team a great team. Trey Smith is a great example of that, finding perhaps the best right guard in the NFL right now in the 6th round. How do you explain that, finding such good players later on in the draft?
I think what we've been able to do over the last few years is we treat the process consistently from the first round down to the 6th, 7th round. So it's a tiring process because certainly the best players are the most exciting players to watch. But I think if you have the mental conditioning to work through meetings and to treat the evaluation of 6th, 7th round free agent prospects in the same form that you do, and give them the amount of time and allocate enough meeting time to discuss those guys, they slowly start to separate, and we slowly get into different valuations, and it's a long, grueling process. And again, I think a lot of the times when players are missed late in the draft, it's just because when you watch the volume of tape and then you're watching maybe small school tape or some tape that isn't as clear and pretty, it really challenges your focus and your ability to stay on task. And I think our staff does a great job of that. And I think that's why once we get into the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, we feel we're as good as anybody in the league.
Now, last question. Coach Reed always talks about how you wear him out about certain prospects. Patrick Mahomes was one of those guys. You just keep bugging him saying, you got to watch this guy on film. Don't give us any names, but Are there any guys you're wearing Coach Reed out about so far?
Yeah, there's always a few. And again, picking 30 and not having the luxury to have the draft position that you want. I don't know if I can say those names, but there's a couple guys that have certainly piqued the interest of me and my staff, and rest assured that if that's the case, Coach will hear a lot about it.
You're a busy guy. I'll let you get back to it, but Brett, appreciate your time.
All right. Yep.